friends. Hope you're doing well. Question of the day. Excuse me. What is the best movie you've seen this year? It doesn't have to be a new movie or a movie that came out this year, but what was the best movie you saw this year? Let me know. Drop a comment. Let's talk about movies. Also, my Bucks fan is on. I don't know if you can hear it. I don't know if you like the Bucks fan or if you don't like the Bucks fan. Leave a comment about that too, because I need comments. I want 5 comments per video or more. 10 comments. I don't know. What's a good number of comments? I don't get a ton. But then I don't get a ton of views. So I don't know what a realistic number of comments it should be. But today I want to talk about my favorite movies that I watched this year. So I'm going to pull up my list here. I'm going to start with what I think was my favorite movie that I've seen for the first time. I'm mostly talking about first time movies, but it could be, whatever. So one that sticks out is called Palm Springs. It's on Hulu right now. It's got Andy Samberg and Christina, I'm not sure, Militoni, something like that. She plays the mom in How I Met Your Mother. It's very similar to Groundhog Day. J.K. Simmons is also in it, and he's great. And I'm not gonna tell you anything more about J.K. Simmons' character because when he comes in, it's wild, and I love it. Andy Samberg's character he goes to a wedding with his girlfriend, and somehow he gets stuck in a time loop, and through circumstances, he draws Christina Militoni, the mom from How I Met Your Mother, into the time loop with him. And things go wacky. So imagine Groundhog Day with 2 people. You go watch it. It's good. It's so good. Alright, it's so good. So that was like that's the number 1 new movie I saw this year. Let's see, what else? There's another movie called Brittany Runs a Marathon, which stars Jillian from Workaholics, if you've ever seen the TV show Workaholics. The blonde girl who's like kind of cheery and wholesome, Jillian. But she is like kind of down on her luck, going through a tough time, and she like decides to run a marathon and like get her stuff together. So that's a really good one. It's real wholesome, in a rated R sort of way. It's like adult themed, like it has to do with messing up, accepting accountability for yourself, and I think that's why it really resonated with me. But I felt it was very wholesome, it's super good, and it's a great movie. It's feel good in a not family friendly way, which there isn't a lot of movies like that when you think about it. Like most of the feel good movies are not family friendly. Like Palm Springs, I think, is also a feel good movie. And it's unpredictable, which is I love about it. But it's a feel good movie. Both movies feel good. Speaking of, I think all these movies I'm gonna say are like kind of feel good movies to a degree. The next one is the Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie. Oh, that was so good. Did you see it? Ewan McGregor, amazing. Margot Robbie, amazing. She kills it in everything she does. But the soundtrack in that movie was fantastic. I think I'm gonna watch it again tomorrow, because that movie was great. And if you saw it, you know what I'm talking about. That movie's so good. DC can do movies right, but like, they need to, Harley Quinn, they got Margot Robbie was such a perfect cast for that, and just everything about that movie should have come out first, and then the second movie should have been Joker Harley Quinn, that story, with maybe like a Deadshot B plot, and then you have Ben Affleck as Batman, and then the third movie should have been Suicide Squad. That's how I think it should have played out, personally, because I think the problem with Suicide Squad was that they were trying to cram too much character development for like this ensemble group that, you know, the viewer coming in had never been introduced to like most of these characters unless you were into comics, but then of course they have to rehash all their stories anyway. But if you get Harley Quinn's story out of the way, you get Deadshot. I think Will Smith as Deadshot and Ben Affleck, that could have pulled its own movie by itself. Because I think those were the only two good parts of Suicide Squad for me, was Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn and Will Smith as Deadshot. I think, because they felt fleshed out, you know, and the rest of the cast was just kind of there, you know, and it really wasn't. They kind of rushed through it, but I mean, Will Smith, yeah, he's great. Margot Robbie, she's great. They definitely could have carried movies on their own, and they should have going into that. But let's not talk about movies that I didn't like. Let's talk about movies that I did like. Another one that I really, really liked was Knives Out. That was one of the first movies I watched. It's the 5th movie I watched this year. That's just a great, like, whodunit mystery. It reminds me of Clue. If you ever saw Clue from, like, the 1980s. That's good. You should, if you haven't seen Clue, that's a really fun one to watch. I just go watch it. That's how I'm gonna end most of these movie reviews. Just go watch it. Let me tell you. Just go watch it, okay? Okay, what else did I watch for the first time this year? I don't know. Let me do some hand gestures at you if that's your kind of thing. ASMR, yeah. Doing the ASMR at your face. I watched the Lord of the Rings movies for the first time with my lady friend, and she is a big fan of them, and I am not as much of a fan of them. But she convinced me to watch them finally. I was like, I guess as a movie nerd I should watch these. And I'm gonna say something controversial, and hopefully you don't hate me, but I think those movies are not good the first time you watch them, because you gain an attachment to the characters by about the 3rd movie. Like, the first 2 movies I wasn't really that attached to the characters. But then I've grown to like them, and I'm like, I think if I watched it again, I'd be like, it's pretty good. But yes, I understand they're like cinematic achievements, and what Peter Jackson did. I think the first one is still the best, because I think it uses a lot more practical effects. And the second and the third one, you can kind of tell they got away from that a little bit. Let's see what else is on this list that I saw for the first time. Jojo Rabbit. Ooh, that's a really good one. If you haven't seen that one, that is about a young boy in Nazi Germany, and he has an imaginary friend who is Adolf Hitler, which it's a comedy, and then through the process he meets a Jewish girl who his mother is hiding in the house, and he like becomes friends with her, and so he has to like balance his like new friend the Jew with his imaginary friend Adolf Hitler, and it's hijinks ensue. It's very tasteful. Like that sounds like very gauche and crass, but it's a very good movie. I can't pronounce the filmmaker's name, but he plays Hitler. I know how to like write it, but I never say it right. I don't want to like say it super wrong, and people be like, that's not how you say it. But that movie, oh, it's so good, so good. I liked it very much. I also watched Uncut Gems. That was the last movie I saw in theaters, I think. And it was in January with my older brother. I thought that was pretty good. I thought Sandler was great in it. And the fact that he didn't get nominated, he got robbed. So robbed. He should have been nominated for that one. That film, you know, he's great in it. As far as the film itself, I wasn't like a huge fan of it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was a good film. It just wasn't my thing. So I would still say watch it. It's good. Let's see, what else did I watch for the first time? Looking at my list, I've watched like 210 movies so far this year. A lot of them are like old movies I've seen a bunch of times, because that's just how I do it. I watched all the Pitch Perfect movies. I like those. I think the first one and the third one are the best. The second one kind of falls. But I love Anna Kendrick, and I love Brittany Snow, and I love Rebel Wilson. So those movies, that's just a shoe-in. I'm gonna watch those movies. If you put Brittany Snow or Anna Kendrick in a movie, I'm gonna watch it. So, and I would say that for Rebel Wilson, but then she was in Cats, which I also saw, and I do not like that movie. And if you watched it, you probably have the same opinion, because I don't think anybody liked that movie. Speaking of bad movies, I watched Impractical Jokers, the movie, and that was not good also. Impractical Jokers is a good TV show, but their movie was like, it had like a story problem where it was like, is it supposed to be like real? Like we're supposed to like believe this is all happening? But then it was also just like basically the TV show, but it wasn't like any more like outrageous. Like it wasn't just like, and so the faux narrative that was like a movie that you're like, you have to suspend disbelief for the movie part to work, but then it pulls you right out of it with their pranks, and then the pranks were basically just like TV show outtakes. And they weren't even like that good on top of it, so skip it. That's not a good one. Let's see, other new movies that I watched this year. Going through the list. Anna and the Apocalypse. That was, it was okay. It's an interesting idea. I don't think the execution was as good. Hairspray. I watched that for the first time this year. I watched both versions. I think the 2000s version is much better than the John Waters version. That's just my opinion. I know some people really like Ricky Lake in the John Waters version, but I think a lot of it didn't really make sense to me in the John Waters version. I think the 2000s version story was like a little more easy to follow and like it made sense. Whereas like the 80s version had like, I don't want to call it plot holes, but like it wasn't like a A to B movie. It was like A, but then also this, and then forget about that. But here's this, and then we're back to the main storyline. Whereas like the 2000s version is very like, this is the story arc, which I know like you're like, oh, you're just not smart enough. It went over your head. Like yeah, when I want to like sometimes I want to watch a movie that goes over my head, sure, and then I want to go look up stuff like. If I want to do research, like if it's Inception, cool, or if it's Primer, cool, like, but like when it's supposed to just be like a fun campy musical, like that's an A to B story. Give me the A to B. Give me the story arc, you know? Give me the A story with the B story with the 3-act structure. That's what I want in like a musical, like a fun, like Crybaby. You know, that's also a John Waters musical kind of themed movie, and that makes it's a much more like, here we go, you know, although I don't really like Crybaby either, because I think it's too campy, which that's like, John Waters is just like, it's campy, he makes campy movies. I also watched Bill and Ted Face the Music. I thought that was pretty good. It wasn't great, wasn't terrible, it's pretty wholesome, so I would say watch that one too. Let's see, other new movies I watched. It's Always Fair Weather, which, the opening, I thought I was watching On the Town again, because like the opening like 45 minutes is like very similar to On the Town, if you've seen On the Town. The only thing that I would say about It's Always Fair Weather, just Google this part, just YouTube this part. There's a song that Gene Kelly sings. I don't remember what, but if you just Google Gene Kelly roller skating song, and then watch that part, because Gene Kelly kills it. Like, he roller skates and tap dances and roller skates, and he's just like, it's amazing. It's so good. And it's like, that was the best, maybe one of the best cinematic highlights of 2020 for me, is watching Gene Kelly roller skate and sing that song and just melt. Yes. But Singing in the Rain is much better as a movie. Don't watch It's Always Fair Weather. The movie itself is not that great. And again, like the first like 20 minutes, you're like, am I watching? Didn't I watch? Like, complete, even with like, there's 3 like army dudes and they're doing the same dance with like the same taxi, and they even do like some of the same gimmicky moves. And I'm like, I've seen this before. It's very similar, even though the movies came out years apart. Yeah. So I think those are all kind of the new movies that are worth talking about. Yeah. So that's oh yes, there's a documentary called Class Action Park, which is about a amusement park that was in New Jersey, maybe, called Action Park. And the stories are wild, but the problem with Class Action Park is the documentary is it starts off like fun and like, oh, this was like a really bad idea that happened, and then it like slowly got less fun and more like political and like kind of boring and sad, and you're like, oh yeah, people died there, and you're like, oh great, like way to bum us out. Like, it's one of those things where like the trailer for it makes it seem like, it's gonna be fun and they're gonna like laugh about all the dangerous things that happened and like, who let this happen? Wasn't that a different time? And then it ends with like, oh, there were lawsuits and people's lives were ruined by this park, and here's some sad stories, and here's like, listen to this mom talk about how her kid died or got paralyzed, and you're like, this got much less fun. It's one of those documentaries. There's a couple documentaries I've seen that are like that, where it's like, yeah, this seems kind of fun, and then like by the end of it you're like, never mind, not fun. Like, there's a movie called Infamy, which I think you can even watch on YouTube, but it's a documentary about graffiti, and for the first like, I don't know, it's a standard 90-minute feature film, but the first like hour you're like, that seems pretty fun, like that seems kind of cool, like maybe I should get into graffiti. And then like the last half hour is like, oh yeah, here's all the awful things that happen to graffiti writers, and you're like, never mind, I don't want to do that. Just kidding. But maybe I feel like it works better on that one, because it's like, because that's what happens with something like, I guess with both of them, it's like, here's the allure of the thing, and then wait, also, before you wait, you don't, here's why you shouldn't. Cautionary tale. So, there's that. Oh, also, I forgot to do this at the beginning of the video. I noticed that most of the people that view my videos and been looking at the stats are not subscribed. So if you are still watching and you're not asleep, hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Thank you. I appreciate it. But, so those are like the new movies I saw that I really like. So I really liked Harley Quinn. That's so good. I'm gonna watch it again. I really like Knives Out. That was really good. I'm gonna watch that one again too, probably this weekend. Brittany Runs a Marathon. That was great. Jojo Rabbit was great. And there's like a lot of Studio Ghibli films I realize I haven't watched, so I'm gonna watch those. Those are on my list for sure. Yeah, those are the big ones that are on my mind. So, have you seen any new movies that you liked? Drop a comment. They don't have to be like new movies. Have you seen any movies that are new to you that you liked? Drop a comment. You're probably asleep by now. I did too good. Dang it. I always do too good. Putting you to sleep. You're welcome. I'm also looking at stats on the YouTubes, trying to up the game, figure stuff out, and I was so based off of like some trend info that I've been looking up. It seems like ASMR peaks at like 2 in the morning, but according to like my channel stats, it's like 7 o'clock is like the peak time. So I'm like, do I post when people are searching, or do I post when my viewers are on? And like, I don't know, yeah, maybe both. I might have to try that. So I might be posting some videos later, or I might just try to do a double whisper and try to post a video at 2 in the morning, and then one, at the standard time, which which I guess sometimes it's like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. So I'm gonna have to go back and look and see if the videos that got more views, what time they got posted. So, just trying to figure out how to grow this. Because, the more you grow it, the more you can feel like good about spending time on it and spending energy on it. Although these really don't feel like energy expenditures, like it really kind of feels like something fun that I look forward to every day. So I've been having a blast doing it. I hope you've been having a blast watching it. And if so, like, if you're one of the, like, group of people that watch and comment regularly, I appreciate the fuck out of you. Try not to cuss. I swear like a sailor normally. So it's really hard. But I realize, like, I'm noticing, like, when I post these videos, I have to, like, answer a bunch of questions. Like, is there this? Is there this? Is there this? And, like, profanity is on there, so I was trying really hard not to swear, but then I realized I really read, like, the descriptions, and it's like, as long as you don't drop an F-bomb in, like, the first 30 seconds, like, it's okay. And then you also don't use, like, racial slurs or, like, extreme, like the C word, then you're fine. And I'm like, okay, it's PG-13 rules. You can have one F-bomb. If you didn't know, that's actually an MPAA thing. By their, like, guidelines, a PG-13 movie can have one F-bomb. And if you have two F-bombs, it's rated R. That's, like, the cutoff. For some reason. I don't know why you could say the F word once, but not twice. If it was me, I would say you get 10. 10's a good number. 10 in 90 minutes. That's like one every 10 minutes. Like, that should be fine. But, although realistically, if you had 10, that would be like one scene that had 10 F-bombs, probably. Realistically. But I mean, that's more true to life. I don't know, I don't feel like bad words, like, mess people up. It's like children. Like, by the time you're 13, like, you know what the F word is. Like, that ship has sailed. Like, kids have the internet now. Like, they know what all kinds of messed up stuff is. Like, I knew it. I looked at just some gruesome stuff on the internet when I was like 12, 13. In the school library, we were showing each other, like, the most messed up things. Just like gore and all kinds. And, like, the library didn't even really have, like, good child filters, so we could get around them very easily, because, I don't know, maybe, like, the school just got sold on these ideas, and we found out very easily how to bypass it, and then, like, download emulators and, like, play Mario Kart. And then we were even, like, I was in, like, a typing class, and the kids what they would do, the kids in my row, they would get together, and they were like, okay, one person each day of the week does the assignment, and then just prints it 4 different times and changes the name on it, because the teacher just wasn't looking to, correct it. And then the other 3 kids would just surf the internet, or, like, and some of them would, like, look at pornography, and you're like, what are you doing? And I was always way too nervous. I was just like, I don't know what you're doing. You're doing that. I'm gonna do my work. And, when it's my day of the week, yeah, I'll print it too. But I'm gonna just do the work every day, and then you guys can do what you want. They never got in trouble, somehow. Because the teacher could see all the computers. The teacher's desk was in the back. And she could see all the computers. Like, Wild West. When I went to high school. That's like early 2000. Different time. Oh man. Should have got expelled for that. Looking at pornography on school computers. Downloading emulators. Crazy kids. Anyway. That's really all I got today. If you want to tell me about the best movie you watched this year, doesn't have to be the first time you watched it, but if it is, cool. And if not, cool. If you don't want to comment, cool. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And, yeah. I make new whisper videos. I don't know. I'm going to say it like every day, but it's going to be every day this month, and then we'll see what December brings. I'll probably do it every day in December. Who knows what next year will bring. Trying to get more regular about it, because I've been enjoying the hell out of it. But, some days the camera goes to work, so I don't have just, I'll plan ahead, make backlogs. I know I have like other camera equipment, like I have, like this camera can record just fine. I just would like need to get my audio recorder out, and I'm just lazy. I don't have to like, I gotta sync the audio in post. That sucks. Although I did make some videos with my cell phone before. I could just go back to doing that on the days where the camera's out. Make some lo-fi ones. Yes. Anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching. Drop a comment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, all that other YouTube stuff. Helps me out, helps you out. Yeah, go get some sleep. I'll see you tomorrow.